morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to CIR Business Mastery. This morning, we are super lucky that we have Madorann Boucher with us. Thanks, Madorann.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Madorann's been with us for 13 years, coming on 13 years.
Yep, going
and the reason that we wanted to have you on today is because, and this is kind of the topic, and we'll ask some questions that get around this, but real estate can be so transaction-based, and that can get old quickly for a lot of people. And one of the things that I love about you so much, and I just want you to like rub it on to me because I need more of that in my life, is you are so good at finding all of the things that bring you passion and joy and fulfillment, and you found a way to work that into your business, and you've had this great career, and you just seem happy and wonderful all of the time while still being a kick-ass realtor, I'm sure. But I feel like in that context, it's nice swearing, so it doesn't count. So we're going to chat about that. Thank you for being here.
I love that. Thank you.
Like Madorann, goat, greatest of all time.
Wow, if I could get that in writing for my husband to read, that
You
would
can
be
watch this. I'll send him
wonderful.
this video.
His morning
I'll give him a
affirmation.
link.
I am married
That's
to.
right. Remember
Matt's a great guy, so we love Matt.
Thank you.
Um,
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that introduction. And I've been thinking about this and wanting to say something really quickly, kind of just prefacing this whole time together. I just want to thank you guys. And I don't want this to come across cheesy or anything, but I've kind of been reflecting a little bit on, my journey with CIR and how instrumental you guys have been in this whole experience for me. And I think so often you guys are putting people up on the pedestal and encouraging and thanking and acknowledging. And I just wanted to, again, at the risk of sounding like a cheeseball, thank you guys for everything you've done. I just met with a new realtor, and so we were going through some of the website stuff, and I'm terrible because I'm not on there as much as I should be, kind of getting up to date on things. And I'm like, holy smokes, like look at what is available to us. And you're my #1 selling feature when I'm talking to a realtor trying to get them on board, just because I know you're so invested and committed. And so I know this is on a side, and but I think I just really appreciate everything that you do.
And you're like #1 selling feature, then our managers 2, 3, 4, 5, and then number 6.
You're in there, Lindsay. You're in there.
Top 15.
But you're the first to always throw out the thank yous and the appreciations, and so I just wanted to make sure that, I think you need to be acknowledged as well. So anyways, for whatever it's worth.
You're the sweetest.
No, I'm hoping you're going to go easy on me.
She's the sweetest, and we all need a little more
just
sugar
trying to
in our
get
life.
easy questions from you now.
That's awesome.
No, just kidding.
Okay, we're going to eliminate this one.
Okay.
Kick us off here. What brought you into real estate?
So I kind of put some thought into that, and it's funny, and I wanted to share this only because I think there's a lot of people who get into real estate thinking that you need to have like an economics degree or a marketing degree or all of these things, and that was not my experience. And so I think it's great to be able to share that you can come from any background and you can make it in this industry because there's so many different people that we can cater to, right? So we have the engineers and we have the stay-at-home moms, and so you can find your niche, and it doesn't really matter what your background is. You can kind of take it and work with it. So my background, believe it or not, I went to school down in Arizona on a basketball scholarship, which I laugh about because it turned into a cheerleading scholarship. I just wanted to play basketball, right? Because that was that one. There was 20 seconds left in the game when we were up by 30, and the coach would look down the bench, get in there, Madorann, and show them what you got. Anyway, so my actual education was called physical activity studies, which has then been converted into kinesiology. So totally irrelevant with real estate. So anyways, fast forward, I was at home with our kids, and we sold our first house, and it was with a really successful realtor here actually at CIR, a female realtor, and she encouraged me to become her assistant at the time, because I really wasn't sure what path I wanted to be on in life, and it just was an opportunity that presented itself. I actually had a great experience with her. A lot of people become a realtor because they had a bad experience, or I had a great experience, and I thought, oh, maybe this is something that I could get myself into. And so I shadowed her I worked as a realtor, or also her biatch, if I can say.
Fair.
Trying to keep it nice swearing as well, for the first 3 months, and then just felt like I was in a position where I wanted to get out on my own. So that's kind of was my introduction into real estate back in 2007, when the market was just kind of creeping over, and so I was thrown into her fire, which was amazing, and I highly recommend it. So for any new realtor, if you have the opportunity to shadow or just to be in someone's world who knows what they're doing and has that experience and can give you that guidance, I think it's very beneficial. So I learned a lot from her. and then kind of went on my own, and it was a sink or swim because my husband decided to stay at home with our kids. We have a son with special needs, as you know.
Yeah.
So we made that commitment early on that one of us was going to be at home with our kids, and they were little at that time, so he stayed at home, bless his heart.
Wow.
Best thing that happened to our relationship, right? When you can have an understanding.
Yeah.
He kind of put his career on hold and allowed me to pursue mine, so I love him dearly for that. And I know. So, but then you get that appreciation of like, I've been working all day, and and you've been at home. So anyways, that's how it all kind of started, and like I said, sink or swim. It was my income, and you have to work hard, and so yeah.
And that was that.
I bet that motivation helped. That it's like,
Absolutely.
I gotta get this thing to happen. I always find people need something, and in your case, bigger than themselves to work for. And you have the family resting on your shoulders, and it can make it where making that last follow-up call, things like that, becomes it where you just have no choice.
It's so interesting reflecting back on it too, because I know so many people struggle with this work-life balance, and it's really hard in real estate. And like you said, it was like I had to be all in, but then I have these young kids, right? And I remember having my phone on my son's nightstand, right? And reading him a bedtime story, and the phone would go and I'd be gone. And I regret that, but that's also part of being able to build something and to create that foundation.
Yeah.
So
Creates future opportunities for your family.
yeah, it's like, right? But anyways, it all worked out. They're not too messed up. No, we think.
Everyone's a little messed up.
The husband, no, I'm just kidding.
I was just thinking about what you said, and you just have to sacrifice something to build something better. And I bet there's so much guilt that goes into those decisions at that moment. But it's so
Absolutely.
true. Like, nobody built something great, and really your business is great. Like, you really have built something great. And I don't think that anybody in the history of the world can say, I built something great by choosing to not sacrifice a few nice moments. Right? Like, and that's just life. But we
just
put
the
so
way it
much
goes.
pressure on ourselves to think that we shouldn't be doing that. But like, literally nothing great was ever built without a little bit of sacrifice. So you almost have to embrace that.
You do, and I think social media kind of magnifies that, right? Like you
Yeah.
have these, well, for myself, like I kind of compare myself to women who are spending all this quality time with their children, and I mean, half of it's BS if we're honest,
Totally,
right?
absolutely.
And so
Yeah.
I think it just becomes this switch where it is quality over quantity, right? And then just
Yes.
carving out that time and making them feel important. And I speak this as a mother running a business, and obviously everyone has their own challenges, but I think that's an important part of it, is learning how to carve out that time, create structured, wonderful time, but not beating yourself up if you have to take a call and it's dinner time. And then as you become more established and you become more comfortable, I think you can set those boundaries a little bit better. We don't have the phone at the table. An offer can wait, unless it is like 9 o'clock and the deadline is there. I really try now to be able to just set those boundaries.
Yeah.
You kind of have to. You're setting an example for our kids too. Right?
Yeah,
that I
that's a
think
really good
filters
point.
into so many different places in their lives, right? So
That's a really good point.
Thank you.
So you had said that you got to live with the fire of this lady that you worked with, and then you went on your own, and it was kind of the sink or swim for you. So as an individual agent, what did it take for you, and how long did it take before you felt like I was bringing in an income? I mean, there's always a benchmark, right? Because once you're happy with where you got, then you want to go somewhere else.
Isn't that the truth?
But when you
Yeah.
started by yourself, the first goal that you set for yourself was, I need to make X.
Yes.
How long did it take for you to accomplish that? And was there any turning point where you realized you started doing something specifically that helped with that?
Such a good question. And I was pretty blessed kind of coming out of the gates, because the market was still relatively good. Not too bad, right? And I know that for me, I really didn't know what to expect. And in hindsight, I think it would have probably been better. I'm terrible at business plans and setting goals and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to work really hard and kind of cross my fingers that things are going to work out, and have a little bit of faith that way. And things really did just kind of, I feel really blessed that it took off relatively quickly, but it didn't come without a lot of hard work. I mean, I remember open housing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I did a lot of reaching out to friends and family, I really put myself out there. And, I think that pays off. And also, even just sitting those open houses, being comfortable enough to start that dialogue with people when they come in, and instead of just sending them upstairs. I'm not so good at that anymore. I've kind of got a little lazy in my in my days where I kind of just have a look, whereas before, when you're really trying to build a business, you got to be invested. And I think people appreciate that, right? When they can feel that when they meet you.
Yeah, and genuine nature. Like, you have a natural presence about you that is that way. And some people really need to work on it too, where I know I was talking to a gentleman yesterday about, he's like, I'm just not getting, I'm doing the open house, but I'm not getting the conversion from it. And we started talking about some verbiage and how he was doing it. And there's definitely, you can see where some people very naturally have a disarming nature about them. And then some people.
That's a good word.
That's a really good word, Lindsay,
and then,
actually.
Disarming.
Disarming.
Well,
D-I-S.
It completely explains how some people just can settle into a conversation versus not, right? Because that is just it. Some people just allow that in a room, and then other people, you just never feel like you're just going to exhale and just lean into that.
Well, I think the biggest thing that is trying to understand the person that you're talking to. And I had done a little bit of research on, when you're talking to someone who speaks loud or speaks quickly, to try and mimic that, right? Or if someone's a little bit more reserved, and to really try and become engaged in what's going on in their world. Because I think with real estate, people just want to, it's all about trust. And we feel trust when someone seems to really care, and you show that you care by asking questions and creating dialogue that doesn't revolve around me and how great of a realtor and all of this experience that I have, but it's like what's important to you. I think that's something I've hopefully learned over the years, is be a good listener.
When you were reaching out to your friends and family, what were you reaching out with? What was that conversation like, if you remember?
Oh man, I can remember a few specific instances where it was more just when the dialogue came up to put myself out there, and to try and do it in a genuine way and an authentic way, right? Where, listen, I am new, but I will work hard for you. And that's going to be the advantage to working with me, right? And just putting it out there in emails and stuff that this is what I'm doing. I think it's the whole secret agent thing is so true, isn't it?
It is.
Right? We're so scared. And at the end of the day, what is the worst thing that could happen if you share with somebody when you overhear a conversation that they're thinking of, buying or selling? So,
well, and it's funny because you think of all of the people that just have jobs that aren't in sales, and there's a stigma with sales where you don't want to talk about your job because someone's going to think you're selling something. But 95% of all of my friends aren't in sales, and they talk about their jobs all the time. Like, that's just what you do, right? Like, it's such a fundamental part of your job that you just talk about. But when you're in sales, you're like, well, I don't want to say anything because they're going to think that.
I'm trying to.
But there's even a lack of authenticity to that. Because, like, that's probably one of, my marriage, my family, my job. Like, those are, to not authentically talk about how you're passionate about that or what you're doing in your day. Like,
and people want to work with someone who's passionate about what they're doing and inspired and committed, right? And so if we kind of downplay that, I think it makes us a little bit more questionable, right, to whoever we're talking to. So I think that's an important thing, is just being able to put yourself out there, which is not always easy. And sometimes I'll even say, at the risk of sounding like a cheesy salesman, because then you basically prefaced it so that people it kind of puts the guard down a little bit, right? So I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's worked, right?
It's good.
So,
I think it's good. That's awesome.
So your career evolved and dramatically, and Madorann, top producer at CIR, many currently, all these types of things, many years, and you had a different path because you decided to join up with a team, which was interesting. So I want to get your thoughts on other people joining up with teams, but tell us about your thoughts around why you chose to join up with a team. Here's a top producer that decides to join up with a team, and typically it's the other way, someone that's looking to boost their business and things like that. So give us a bit of the story behind your journey into the team environment.
Yeah, that was a really interesting and exciting transition in my career. That was back in 2012, and at that point I was truly looking for balance. So it's funny, I think in real estate, you kind of swing on this pendulum where you come in and you're hungry and you're ambitious and you're super, involved and passionate. And then you kind of, well, this happened for me, but I have talked to some other agents and it seems to happen pretty consistently, some top producers, where you kind of swing over and you become a little bit jaded because all of a sudden it becomes this incredibly time-consuming, all-in career. And so I joke about how, at that point in my life, this is terrible to say, and forgive me, but I remember it was dinner time and someone would call me and they'd be like, hey, Madorann, we're pre-approved, we're ready to go, and we're like, when can we get out looking? We're like, that's great, awesome. I get off the phone, but they're calling me at dinner time.
Yeah, absolutely.
My husband would be like, $8,000, Madorann. Yeah. We need to stay on track, right?
Right. Your eye on the prize.
I'm like, oh my gosh, how dare they?
I used to regret, I used to loathe when people call your phone rang.
You'd be like, and you'd start cringing and you'd start, and
really,
so tonight, really, I'm just about to say, of course it's dinner time, right? You want to go buy a property and feed my family. It's just terrible. So I kind of got to that place, and so I think unconsciously I was looking for some sort of a shift, and a change. I'm an entrepreneur, we're all entrepreneurs, and I think we like to grow and evolve, right? And constantly challenge ourselves. So anyways, at that time, I was just needing balance in my life.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it was really cool. And that was an amazing experience for me, and I was in it for about 4 years. And and I worked with Tom Sherry, who I love dearly. And it's funny because, and I actually recommend, if you are one type of agent and you're thinking of getting onto a team, don't necessarily look for somebody who's similar to you, right? And this is just my advice. So Tom and I are very dynamically different in terms of how we approach our business. I think we have the same morals and values, which is an important fit. But we ran our business is different. And so it was really cool partnering up with him because he taught me so much. I'm a very people person, and he is as well, but he did a lot of his training with scripts and that sort of stuff, where mine was more kind of generic, as I went. And I learned some really great verbiage from him, some really great dialogue that I could implement into my business. And I also learned a lot more about boundaries and being able to say no, fighting for my commissions. So I think there's a lot of validity getting onto a team when you're working with other people who do their business a different way if you go into it with an open mind. And so that was one of the most wonderful things that I gained. It really did help my business, just making me a little bit more well-rounded in terms of an agent, so I could deal with different types of personalities. I got along great with the stay-at-home moms, and the first-time buyers, but throw an engineer on my plate, and it was like, you have to speak to them a different way, and you have to negotiate your commissions a different way. So I learned a lot from him with that, and that was a great part of being on a team. And also just for the way that we had our team structured, just having that balance. So when I went away on holidays, I legitimately gave him my phone, and I was able to carve out that time. And that was really important to me. I remember giving him my phone my first time, and I literally cried.
I've
right?
I've never been in that experience, but you saying that and thinking of what that must be like.
It was so overwhelming, which is kind of sad to think. And then by the third time, I was checking my phone, and I was running out the door, and I'd be like, "Do not contact me," right? And so it was. So there's a lot of benefits with that, and I think a lot of people think, especially if they're on a team where the commissions are structured a certain way. Oh my gosh, depending on how it is set up, those were some of my highest producing years was when I was on that team, because I could focus on what I loved, right?
Well, they had built up a turnkey infrastructure for you.
Absolutely.
And so you didn't have to worry about anything except for the sales side.
Yep, and that's kind of what my bread and butter is in the industry, I think, is just being able to be with people. I don't like the back end stuff or having to worry about checklists and all that kind of stuff. I just want to go out and sell real estate. So I think for anyone who's thinking about it, depending on the personality type, there's a lot of great opportunities if they can find the right fit. I think, anyways. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I think you answered everything on there.
One more thing on teams. Do you feel when somebody is new that a team would be the same as having a mentor? Would that be, or would that be just because you talked in the beginning about, I had this lady that I worked with. She was a bit of a mentor, and then you went on a team experience. Were they similar or were they different?
different. I think, and I think also because I was a new realtor, it was more shadowing, learning. I was running out, delivering feature sheets, filling in when she was on holidays. So there was some really applicable things, and I learned by observing a lot, where I think when you're on a team, it's a little bit more, you're actually doing your own business and that sort of stuff. But there is still mentorship there.
Yeah.
So I think both, both are fantastic opportunities. I think it just depends on what the person's looking for. Are they wanting to like dig in and just get out there and they don't have that fear of, getting out and doing deals? Or are they wanting to stand back, shadow a little bit and learn and then jump in? So I think it just depends on the person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah?
Cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about.
I'm going to ask this question.
Okay, you're going to ask. Okay, so I have. These questions, first of all, are in like paragraph format and are written in a way that, and we always take turns writing.
It's because I know Madorann, so I have really targeted
I'm
questions.
looking down, I'm like, okay.
This is a good question for
paragraphs
Kirsten.
as I do this, and I was about
I know,
to
it's
chop
like
off
4
the entire
sentences.
open part of the question. So
love it.
ask the question
But
the
When
way
I
the chef
when I read the
intended
question,
to be asked.
it made my heart full. So thank you.
And take it the way you want. So one of the things that I love about you, but I also, through conversations that I've had with you at times, can be literally detrimental, is you are the biggest giver of your time and your energy. You really, really are, almost in the nicest way to a fault.
I appreciate that.
Right? Because we all only have so much time in a day.
Yes.
And you are the first in many situations, if somebody else needs something ever, that you're like, my time is yours, because your heart is really, like, it's actually that big, which is unbelievable.
Thank you.
So, and I know that, and I think that there's a lot of people, because you just hear people talking in the office about being like, and I'm their psychologist, and I'm their interior decorator, and I'm, right?
Yes.
So as soon as you get a client base as big as yours, and you become 8 people, in addition to just being a realtor to one person, I mean, that can get time heavy, but you, for such a long time, and probably still do that. So talk to me a little bit about what that has done for your career, a really good example of something that you did that you loved, and then maybe another example where it didn't work out. And the point of this question is, I guess, looking at, and you mentioned it when you were talking about Tom's team too, boundaries that you need to set in your business. And I guess that's the end result of it. Boundaries that you need to set, but at the same time, honoring the relationship that you have with somebody, which is based off our conversation, sometimes that relationship you can have with a client is literally so unbelievably deep that your heart could never say no. And what's
so
that balance?
True. And I love that question. And the reason I love it is because they're so nice to me.
Touche.
Because it was such a flattering question.
How do you balance being such a good person with your flawless expectations?
hard.
Say it again. Say it again.
That's how I would have worded it.
No,
Mother
it is
Teresa
hard.
didn't sleep.
She
Literally, in her
didn't.
biography, she didn't sleep.
I love that
She
biography.
did still live for a very long
She
time. though,
did.
so
She's good.
you're good.
Yeah, and she looked good. I think that's such an important question because we all do our business different. And I often joke when I'm going through the consumer relationship guide, when I get to obedience, that I'm like, no, I will not clean your toilet. No, I will not take you to rehab. Obedience is this when it comes to real estate because I did those things. Like I legitimately did those things. And I think, in hindsight, unfortunately, fortunately, that was part of how I built my business, is I was all in. And I think that's also why I went to that jaded space, right, is where I got so angry and frustrated. I got to a place in my career where I was exhausted because, I legitimately took a guy to rehab. I was having conversations at 1 o'clock in the morning with people who were going through a divorce. And I really, truly cared. And I think that's kind of how I did my business, is because I'm a people person. I'm not the smartest. I don't have, the greatest marketing. And in fact, the day that you emailed me, my web guys like Madorann, like your website is not even mobile. Like you can't even use it on a mobile, and you should probably look at this SSL thing. And I'm like, I'm like,
not me.
Don't listen to me, but it's not for me. It's not how I built my business, and it's not important to me, and I'd rather invest my money elsewhere. But anyways, just kind of going back to what you said, I think that, just looking back on all those experiences, it really did reinforce how important boundaries are. Like I remember starting and literally painting some guy's house, taking out his trash, which was full of mold, cleaning his toilet, taking him to rehab, and realizing, at some point my husband, then he was in a hotel because I dropped him off at a hotel after rehab, and they called me to come and get him because they were kicking him out. Like, it was a disaster. And you just have this moment, you're like, what am I doing? Like, I'm supposed to be selling his house, right? And I think we can easily get caught up in that trap, and it is a bit of a trap. And yet, when we're trying so hard to build a business and there's a paycheck on the end and you want to, show people that you're invested, it's hard. So I think from, learning pretty early on with a few hard knock lessons that, you do have to be able to say no. Kind of that's on the personal level, and then on the business level, and if I can share this story because this came up on the women's group.
Yeah,
and I think
please.
it's important because so many times people will invest into some clients and it goes so far where you feel like you need this paycheck, right?
Yes,
And you've
totally.
earned this paycheck,
Yep.
you've put in this much time, and so you're not gonna let them go until you get a paycheck out of it. And I do have my one experience, and I'm just gonna share it just because the ending might help
Please.
people realize how important it is to cut the tie. So I worked with these clients, and it was pretty early on, and I had become friends with the girl. We went for pedicures and everything. I kid you not, I probably, between Matt and I, because Matt was licensed at the time, we probably showed them 150 to 200 homes over the course of a couple years. And I got to that place where I was like, no, I have earned a paycheck. I am not walking away from this. And I remember sitting down with my dad, who's a very successful financial advisor, and he said to me, Madorann, like, think about how much negativity they are bringing into your life and how that is preventing you. Because as they say, what you're feeling is what you're projecting. How much business did I actually lose by trying to hold on to these guys and create something from it, right? And I know we all know it, but it is hard to let people go. It's so hard to let people go when you've invested into them. So, long story short, we ended up, believe it or not, writing on a property, and it was a brand new listing. I got the sellers down 20,000. We came in 30,000 under list. My guys wouldn't come up hardly at all, and we couldn't get the deal together. The next day, they took me to a coffee shop and they fired me for not reducing my commissions and bringing the deal together. People, walk away, walk away.
Oh my gosh.
I know, and I remember going
And this
home
was
from
someone that
that.
you were like, I was friends with you.
I went for pedicures. I was investing so much. This was really early on. And it was such a valuable lesson that I have no regrets about going through, because you can share these stories and you also helps shape you in terms of how you want to do your business. But I think whenever I hear people saying that, I'm just like, it's not worth the paycheck because you're losing money. The amount of time and effort and energy and the negativity it created in our household and all of these things, it's not worth it. And then to have that actually happen kind of just summarized it all.
That is a
like,
bad ending. I
Dad,
think that was going to be the ending
I
of
know.
that story.
Run,
It's really
people.
bad.
And so, but it is hard, isn't it? And so I think that contributed to that whole being jaded. But then when you learn to be able to get to a place where you can say no and be okay with that, right? And be able to move on and reinvest your time and energy into something more positive. Even if that's at that time nothing, if you've got nothing else on the go other than maybe investing it back into yourself or reading or a course or something, it's so much more important. So don't do it. Run, people, run. I remember coming home and seriously, if you could imagine, like flipping chairs, right? Like, they fired me.
It's like every family Monopoly
Right.
game, how those end.
Hammered.
Exactly how those
And just taking the time away and that was the thing that hurt the most. It really wasn't the paycheck. For me, it was the 5 o'clock, a new property comes on, we need to see it now, the time away from my family. That's what Matt and I have, when we've reflected on that, which we don't anymore very much. That's what it is. It's the time that they took away from us, right? And so
And that wasn't worth it.
But
Yeah.
and that's truly speaks to just the word experience of being the best teacher. You don't know how that's going to go until you're in the situation.
Absolutely.
To how hard it is. We all have nightmare client stories.
everyone has it.
So we almost have a tale of two Madorans. We have early Madorann, who is eager to please, and you're still a very
No, I
pleaser,
appreciate that,
and that's one of the things that make you so great. So take us now to give us some of the wisdom of Madorann as she is in her career today, because you still have clients that love you, you still have tight relationships. So tell us what you're doing today to keep those relationships close that also provides those limitations, and so if we were to ask you today, you're giving advice to somebody and saying, how do I maintain strong relationships and also maintain sort of a life. But what do you do today now to keep those relationships and client relationships close?
I love that question. I think it's so important, and I think everyone would approach that differently because depending on what their personality is. And I've shared this story with you, Kirsten, and I think it was 2017, which was my best year in real estate. It was my 10th year, and I wanted to take the opportunity to genuinely show gratitude to my clients. And I think we can do this at any time if this is the type of person you are and this is like how you like to do your business. You don't have to be in it for 10 years. You could do it at your second year anniversary. And it's what I learned from Ninja. I love that course.
Yeah.
You know, and what I've learned from you guys is authentically giving without any expectation in return. And I think it's so valuable. And so that year, I let my clients know I was going to be doing 12 months of giving back because I wanted to show my appreciation for their continued loyalty. And, you know, that's a lot of my business is just, you know, my current and past clients. So every month, and I'll tell you, it was a lot of work. And it was costly to a certain degree, but when you consider what, you know, instead of investing into my website, which I probably should, this is where I decided I wanted to put my money, and it gave me a lot more, you know, happiness to be able to do that. So anyways, every month I just came up with something different that had nothing to do with real estate, and I sent that out to my clients. So a couple examples.
Yeah, please.
So for January, because it's the new year, a lot of people are, you know, wanting to do some, you know, work on themselves and stuff. I did my top 10 books, and I actually reached out to some other people and said, what, you know, give me some really good books that kind of cover a bunch of different things. And then I just ordered off of Amazon a bunch of magnets, bookmark magnets. And I put it into a letter, and I just sent it out to all my clients. So that's not, and I keep a really tight client database. I think I have 150 people on my database.
But they are like cream of the crop people.
I love them, right?
Yeah.
And people I really love to work with. And so, so I sent it out. There was no mention of real estate other than maybe in the closing sentence of a letter, I might say, thank you for your continued, like I didn't put a business card in, nothing. Some people might cringe at that, but they know who I am.
They know who you are.
They know who I am. They know how to find me.
Never do business for your referrals.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like
Nothing of that. It was, this is for you, thank you. So one of my favorite ones was actually May for Mother's Day. I think I told you this. So I got a whole big bag of Epsom salt from this place.
Yeah, this was intense. This was intense.
My poor children through this. It was a great learning experience for my kids to be involved, but we sat at the kitchen table and we bagged up these tiny little baggies of Epsom salt. Now imagine what that looks like if the police would have came over to our house. This mound of little baggies of Epsom salts that I sandwiched into a card and I sent out to my clients for Mother's Day. Yeah. And I can almost promise you none of those women actually poured that salt, nor would it have been effective to pour that salt into a bath and think, oh, you know, this is, but it was something tangible that they were opening up and saying, this isn't a bill. This is from Madorann. This is her way of saying thank you, you know, or whatever, just a touch. And obviously it took a lot of work. The whole thing took a lot of work, but it was so worth it and so fulfilling, right? To just know that you're giving back. So anyways, I think people can do that, and you have given us so many resources to be able to do that turnkey, right? Where we can give these touches to people. And so anyways, I think that's valuable.
I love when you're excited about something. And in terms of marketing, you know, here's a related example, and I'll tie the two together in the end here. We were out for a jog yesterday, and these two dogs are at the front door of a house, and all of a sudden they start chasing after us, like tiny dogs in a cute way. Yeah. They start kind of following us, and we're like, what the heck?
Down the street.
Yeah. And they're like right down the street with us, and we're like, oh my gosh, like you're out of the house. So we go walk into the house. We notice the side gate is open, so we kind of shoo the dogs into the side gate, close the gate, and then we're gonna go knock on the door. Now, how many people feel comfortable knocking on a door?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's like your heart would be pounding because it's like, well, have you ever thought of buying or selling real estate? You're thinking of it now or anytime in the near future, but it's like, we wanted to say to them, listen, your dogs got out and everything else. There's zero fear. Like the fear was 0 to 10 because you're adding value to them, right? So we knock on the door and say, hey, just to let you know, your dogs were outside. We put them back in your backyard. So we were in your yard. We closed the fence. And they were grateful. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
When you have a marketing campaign that you know is going to add value, that's in line with your values, that you're genuinely excited about, it's like when you find that perfect gift for somebody on Christmas and you can't wait, you're like, open mine first, open mine first, and you're so excited about it. And how good does that feel, and how easy does that make marketing yourself and your business?
Absolutely.
And when I think about websites and landing pages and things like that and messaging you're put out, it's like, yeah, you could have a link being like free home evaluation, or it's like you could say, I love character homes. I picked my top 5 design character homes in Calgary. If you want my list, let me know.
Love it.
And what's so cool about that is like these are the best designs that I've seen, and people are emailing you, yeah, I'd love to see your list, and you got all these people, and it genuinely is something that you're excited about. That the Epsom salt, the bath salts, your little bath salt operation you had running. But it's like, if you're into it, then it makes like, was that hard in terms of like, did you feel like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think of this?
Fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So fun, and to get the feedback from people, and I think, you know, when we, and I know it can sound so hokey, but when we authentically give, you get so much in return. And I think we've sometimes even spin it, and we're almost scared to get things in return because we want to give so authentically that we almost think that we don't deserve it in return, right? If we're giving authentically, then we shouldn't get anything in return. That's not true, right? And I think that's it's such a wonderful thing. And I love, you know, the whole concept of bringing other things into it so that we can, like for the Epsom salts, like I you know, I put a shout out to the local floating place in Okotoks. The more that you can divert it away from you, the more it's diverted back to you, inadvertently. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's, and I think Ninja is the foundation of all of that. What you put out there, you know, is what you get back.
I just had a thought about this, but I was thinking about like stuff that we're passionate about, and one of the things we love about our community is the trees and how mature it is. And you go to these newer communities, and why not be the realtor that says, we love trees, we love nature, we want to bring nature to you, and you buy a bunch of tree seeds, and you go door to door, and you just say, would you guys be willing to plant a tree? And it's like, we want to have a beautiful, and and like you go to these communities, and it's like we're just handing out tree seeds to people for free, and you know, you have like
you should write that down.
500 of them, and literally it's like,
really
and like
nice.
we want,
especially for a new community.
Yeah, we love Cranston. We love these, and we want it in and invest in 20 years into Cranston.
And do it in honor of someone, just to even add that little bit of some sediment to it, just to, you know, plant this tree. Actually, that was my February one, was Earth Day. I think February.
There you
so
go.
we did, like, you can get like little pieces of paper that actually have a seed in it, and then you plant the piece of paper or something like that. I love that because it's just not about you.
That's right.
But it's brilliant. And I think people feel so threatened and tired of having things thrown down their throat that when they're like, wait, what? You know, I think it just really is a positive thing.
I love it. Those are great ideas.
I think I might pocket that one.
That's a
well, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, what do we love? Like, what would you love, and what would make you feel good? Because I had
someone came to our house with something that was a tree and was like, would you like to plant this? But I love trees, which is why this was our idea. But I mean, who doesn't love a tree? To say you don't love trees is like saying you don't
like
love
a dog. Okay, we're there.
Get off my property.
Maybe we'll have the CIR tree campaign. Plant a tree
I
campaign.
love that.
Plant a tree campaign. Yes. And we could order them where we get a ton of them from a big supplier, so we can sell them really inexpensively, and it'll be like a big Team Blue thing where we plant trees all over
Our time is running out in our therapy session. Madorann's giving us therapy here, so we got to keep on going here.
I should have brought my notepad.
Thank you, Madorann. But if you think about the stuff that drives you, how easy it is. There's no fear in it.
None.
It's like there's no fear in marketing. And we had a course a while ago, I should actually run it again, about taking the fear out of prospecting. And if you genuinely, authentically adding value, something that you're passionate about, there's no fear. It's like, am I going to get scared about inviting somebody to our CIR Stampede party? Like, if you have that people that are the party people and the fun, it's like, no, come on out, we're going to have a blast. It's not like you're like,
how substantial.
How's it going to go?
Yeah,
you know,
but I love that that's the foundation of CIR. Like, I love that about our brokerage, is that it's all about, it's the ninja approach, isn't it? And it's really substantial, and I think people overestimate what the costs are involved. This doesn't have to be expensive.
No.
A handwritten note, which I know is a cliche, but it's a powerful thing.
We don't get them.
It's a powerful thing.
We have, Lindsay has our mail key. Not because I'm not allowed to have our mail key, but like, I'd probably lose the mail key. I'm just that person, so I don't have the mail key. But when we live in an older community where like 100 people have had addresses in that house, so we get mail like this and it's all flyers and junk or whatever.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, whenever he brings it home, like I am so excited to go through the
I'm
mail.
the same way.
And I flip through everything and none of it matters. But whenever there's an envelope with my name on it that doesn't look like it's coming from a bank or my insurance company, and my name is on it and it looks like a card.
Yes.
Like
powerful.
Oh, I'm so happy. Like it's just every week that I'm going through the mail and there's nothing exciting there to finally there be like, oh.
Because the majority of our client
it.
database is still kind of from that generation where we grew up with that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
Mail,
Christmas cards.
tangible things. Everything has to have
love
handwritten.
notes in school, right? Like someone passes you a
You,
note.
like, fold it all
Yeah,
up.
that's right. I'll print. But the
I
name
was explaining that to my daughter. Like
you
that's
got
how
it,
we
and you're just like,
texted.
this is the best
And then
thing
you
ever.
kept it.
You kept it. I know. Now you can only screenshot things, right? And so
Not
I
the
think
same.
I think that goes far for people. I think it goes far, and I think that we overthink how we can what we can do for people that way, right?
Totally.
So
I
anyways,
agree.
That's cool.
Okay, so next question, and then I want to wrap it up talking about a really cool initiative that you're trying to organize. Motivation, just because so you've been in the business for 13 years, that is, and you've been busy for 13 years. A lot going on. What is it that you do that keeps you motivated and in the game? Is it a mindset? Is it a certain type of structure that you have? Is it scheduling vacations at a certain time? It's so different for everybody.
Yeah.
But is there something for you that you get up in the morning and you're just happy to do what you do? And I'm sure not every day you're happy to do what you do.
I think it's a really good one. I think we need to be okay with accepting wherever we are at in our life and always wanting to improve on that. So for example, for me, like July, it's kind of quieted down a little bit, and I know that we still need to be working on the business and all that, but also appreciating the time when maybe it's a little quiet and knowing that I'm going to maybe invest a little bit more time at the gym or with my kids. And then finding that inner peace about that, which again sounds a little cheesy, but being genuine about that. And just kind of rolling with life and whatever it brings you. And there are going to be seasons where you're super busy and all out, and then embracing that and going with it. And then allowing yourself to just breathe when things aren't so crazy. But always kind of having your finger on the pulse as well, which is important. And so whether that is through courses or reading. So right now, real estate isn't super crazy, and I'm doing a little bit more work on myself, on things that on my marriage and on things that I want to, on some of the layers in me, right, that don't have anything to do with real estate, directly, but indirectly it sure does, right? Because if we're not where we need to be at this time in our life, everything can become like a real crapshoot, right? So.
Well, and I love, you in dating books or, when you hear people talk about, no one else is going to find you attractive if you
what are you doing
don't
reading
find
dating
yourself.
books?
If you don't find yourself attractive. Well, if you,
do you have a good one?
You were mean to me last week. You laughed at work. But it's true, right? Like if you don't exude confidence and you don't find yourself attractive, who else is going to find you that, right? So you're right. Even if right now it's. You say, this is about me, this isn't about my real estate business. If you show up to a meeting or you're standing in front of somebody having a conversation and you feel so good about who you are as a person in that moment, like that will attract business.
100%. And I think that we have to accept we can't control everything, right? And
I'm so bad at that.
I am terrible at that. And I always like to be moving forward and learning and growing. And sometimes it's okay to be still and to reflect and to grow as in different areas of our life, knowing it's going to influence everything. So even though, when you're talking about motivation, what motivates me, to motivate me not just to be the best realtor, right, to be the best wife and mother, friend, colleague, and that kind of stuff. And so, if I can't control what's happening in real estate, I can always control what's happening in this area of my life. And by learning and reading and that kind of thing. So understanding what you can and can't control, and then trying to better yourself with what you can, in the areas that you can control.
That's wonderful.
Is it? I don't know if I went off on.
It's lovely. No, that's
Okay.
a great answer. I'm not. I wouldn't judge your answer. I would say whatever answer you is great because it's your motivation. That was really nice.
No, thank you. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
And I'm going to let you two finish up the last question because the Engaging Women at CIR initiative that you're doing, I think is fantastic.
Thank you.
You went to the event. I wasn't even invited.
Even though your name is Lindsay.
You know, my name is Lindsay.
You
Try to
could have
sneak
also
myself
done half
in
and
there.
right, like you can come
You
for
might-
the first
you might
hour.
get to come
I
to
made
one.
it to the Concord event somehow, and all the women looked at me like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, so, but I wasn't alone. So take it away. Finish it off. Talk about
exciting.
this.
Thank
Talk
you.
about this cool initiative.
Yeah, so we've had one event so far, but Madorann, you over the past couple of years had mentioned you've just seen a need for women to connect and be of service to each other,
Oh, I love
and
that.
to just share good stories, bad stories, but just have a close circle. And I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but you've
No.
done something incredible,
Thank
and
you.
you're on a journey to make it even bigger, which is a lot of work. Tell us about it, and tell everybody watching.
Thank you for letting me share that, because I'm really
Yeah.
excited about it, and I'm really grateful too for all of the women who've kind of stepped up to the plate and kind of encouraged and supported and participated in kind of getting things going and stuff. So it's really exciting. I do have to say, we do have the best guys in our brokerage. So no disrespect to you guys at
It's
all.
okay. It's okay.
Right? And even on that note, like, when some stuff happened a few weeks ago and that, bless her heart, that woman was assaulted, to see the men, I'm almost going to get choked up. To see the men, how they responded, was such a powerful thing.
Yeah, we got a stand-up
it was
group.
an amazing thing to see the sincere worry and care, and
Yeah.
I could name off a whole mittful of guys that I would feel confident going to if I ever felt like I was in a situation. So anyways, I just, obviously this isn't about that, but I just wanted to say that because I think we have such a great team. We have such a great team, such a great culture. I'm really grateful for that. But anyways, kind of going back to this initiative, if you will, with the women, we always say it's a lonely world in real estate. And I think especially, wherever we're at in our lives, and we are all at different places in our lives, right? And so I know for myself, I'm actually quite an introvert. So this was a bit of something I needed to kind of pull myself out of, and I wanted to do. To pull women together. We always say it's lonely. I think women behind closed doors, and I mean this with all due respect, can be a little catty and can be, because we have some, confidence issues or whatever. But I also know that when women get together with the sincere, authentic motive of encouraging and supporting each other, amazing things happen.
Yeah,
Amazing
so
things
true.
happen when you are in a conference or something and it's all women. And who are really there with the same goal of trying to support other women. And like I said, we're all at different places in our careers, and we all bring so much to the table in terms of how we can contribute. And I loved in our first event, how women were actually getting up and speaking. I didn't anticipate that at all.
That was incredible.
I loved that, and that
Yeah.
was kind of what I was hoping for. It's
Yeah.
like, we needed some sort of a platform to work off of, where, having you and Chloe and Audra there to just kind of get some dialogue going, but to have the women actually step up and share their
Yeah.
stories, and then to have the other women kind of contribute and, be able to pull something from that. I'm at a place in my life where I've been in the industry now 13 years, and I've got 2 teenage kids, and I've got this and that on the go, but then there's a woman who couldn't relate to that, right? She's a single gal, fresh out of university, and she's trying to find her way. But there's another woman who's maybe gone through that and experienced it. And do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's so much
Yeah.
that we can all bring to the table. So I'm really excited about it. I have no idea where it's going to go, but I just kind of want it to kind of unravel authentically. And so we'll see. So if any of the women have not heard about it, it's
logistics, where to find it, how to participate.
we just have a Facebook site at this point, so it's Connect and Collaborate, and I can send out an invite. Again, this is not my strength, right? So the first was like a kind of a little bit of a formal event, sort of.
It was wonderful.
And then, thank you. And then the second event is going to be a pool party. Like, we're having a pool
Even
party.
more wonderful.
Like August 13th. So, and Janine's doing it at her place. And so what I'm hoping to do is to kind of go from a formal, maybe somewhat structured, bring in
Yeah.
some motivational speakers, bring in some, just have something that's a little bit more focused on some of the things the ladies have shared that are of interest to them.
Yeah.
Then transition into something that's really informal but allows us to still come together and share kind of, where it's just not so
Yeah,
intense
just be
and
around some good, fun energy,
good,
because
fun
everyone needs
energy.
that in a day, and you never know. Some people, more than others, really don't have that in their life right now. They don't,
To
right?
have
Like
that.
there's to have a day to go work and just be fun, and they can leave their house and they can leave their business and
Yeah.
just be around some good people, and it's just fun. Like that is
Just fun.
so important for the
Isn't
soul.
it? I think that's just so
Yeah.
much of where we lack. We are so focused on other people and taking care of families and taking care of our clients that we just don't refuel ourselves. And I think it's fun with women, with drinks and food and
Yeah,
a pool.
and a pool. It's gonna
So
be the
jealous.
best.
I'm
Janine.
like, man,
I know. You
who needs
guys
to
can
know?
start your own boys club.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a golf day or something.
Poker and maybe we should do poker.
Women's poker would be so fun.
think it
That
could
would
get-
be so
It
fun.
could get dangerous.
so fun. That's a good idea.
I think we could have a lot of fun. So I actually would love anyone's feedback or thoughts, or to just get some thoughts
Yeah.
on that.
Well, and it's we'll make sure that that's posted in the chat too, so that's
Thank
the
you.
name of it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anybody who wants to go and
Yeah,
and that's that, and it's that easy. You just participate, and the group seems pretty active. Like people are always posting and
Yeah.
commenting and talking, and
Yeah.
great ideas, sharing things that they found
you.
that they love, and it's a great group.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. And hopefully we can, one of the things I really want to incorporate in is giving back somehow to other women. So as we
Yeah.
move forward, then hopefully we can put something together where we're giving back to women in need here in Calgary.
Beautiful.
And I said in my one, if I allow myself to dream, I'd love to be able to, maybe a group of women go somewhere in the world. Wouldn't that be cool? Like CIR women
Yeah,
going
yeah, yeah.
somewhere where we could
Yeah.
build some houses, or I know, I am such a
Yeah.
dreamer.
No,
The
I
amount of
think a lot of
times I
people
t-
would love that.
I think there's a lot of possibilities. So we'll see where it goes. And like I said, I'm going to try and take it easy this summer, but I'm going to hit it hard in the fall. And yeah, when things get back to normal.
That's fantastic.
Thank you for
you.
sharing that.
Good for you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for supporting it.
Madorann,
Appreciate it.
thank you so much for
Aw,
giving of your time.
thank
I think
you.
that's the most valuable resource we have.
Aw.
It is.
So really appreciate you coming on. And
Thank
if you guys want to see more of our CIR Realty Business Mastery, you can check out CIRRealtyBusinessMastery.com. You can check out the podcast, CIR Realty Business Mastery, or visit our Instagram page, Facebook page, other locations like that. So Madorann, thank you so much
You're
again.
welcome.
And
Thank you for having me.
awesome.
It's
You're
such a
welcome.
treat.
See you guys
Have a
again in
great
2
day,
weeks.
everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you.
take care.